Hello everyone, on today's IRS tax refund update, we're going to take a look at the latest information just released by the IRS, including significant movement on the backlog of those unprocessed tax returns and refunds many of you have been waiting on, so we'll recap what has happened, as well as the latest developments for those still waiting on their amended tax returns. We'll also check in on the latest batch of tax refunds scheduled for release this week, as well as some of the key refund delays and possible solutions on getting that refund much quicker. Now, a brief note to our viewers, we're going to start looking at changing some of the formats on these episodes in the future, especially as we prepare to go into next tax season. So do look for some changes and make sure to click on the like and subscribe button below. Also, very special thanks to our viewers who donate to the channel by clicking on the super thanks button below. That means a lot to help continue this content, which currently is the only source of tax refund updates. Starting off with the latest on those ongoing tax processing delays, as we've seen significant movement in the past week with the tax return backlog now down to 1.7 million, which means nearly 400,000 tax returns have been cleared out in the last week. We finally saw movement with those e-file returns down to 1.5 million, and the paper return backlog has been reduced by nearly half, with 213,000 returns remaining. Now, these numbers are a combination of both this year and last year's returns, however, represent the largest movement we have seen since earlier this year. For those of you waiting on amended returns, since our last update, we saw the backlog drop by 60,000 to now 1.14 million returns remaining. So as you continue to see, we're seeing a decline by the week since June of these returns. However, they're still being processed at a much slower rate, with the average wait times between 5 to 7 months. However, if current processing trends continue, the backlog will still not be cleared out until June, in time for next tax season. Moving on to the next batch of tax refunds scheduled for release this week, with those direct deposit refunds scheduled to be transmitted and released to banks on August 16th, as confirmed by the tax transcript seen here, with the next round of paper checks scheduled to be printed out and mailed on August 18th. For those receiving paper checks, they should receive them within 7 to 10 days, while those direct deposits should be received the day of the refund date. Make sure to check your tax transcripts to confirm you're part of this latest refund batch. Now we're going to break down some of the individual reasons why many of you are still experiencing those delays, starting with the refund is under audit. And the biggest problem is not everyone under audit realizes this is their delay, especially if they're not checking their tax transcripts or receiving any IRS notices in the mail. If you filed your return before the tax filing deadline, claimed one of several different credits like the Earned Income Tax Credit, Child Tax Credit, or Premium Tax Credit, there's a good chance this is the cause of your delay. To determine if you're under audit, locate any 420 and 424 codes that appear on your tax transcripts. From there, to see if any letters have been sent to you, locate the 971 code on your transcript. If you see a 971 code with a recent date and have not received any letter in the mail, you'll want to immediately contact the IRS to have them reissue that letter or tell you over the phone what the issue is and what documents you may need to submit so the audit can in fact continue. You can submit these docs online through the upload portal, fax, or by mail. It is important to note if you don't respond to the audit, whether you get that letter or not, the IRS will not give you the refund portion of that credit, with the rest of your refund causing a reduced refund. You will either see a 767 or 765 code like seen here when the IRS removes that credit. However, this is a common thing, and 42% of those claiming EITC last year did not respond to the documentation request and did not get this credit, and is almost certain those entitled to this credit were among that number. If you've received the 60-day notice, as seen here, the likely cause of your delay has to do with reported income, particularly the IRS has not processed your employer's wage information. Now, one thing you want to do is create an account on the Social Security Administration website and check your wage history to see if your employer has reported wages. Now, why Social Security? That is because employers must submit their W-2s to them, and in turn, they forward those to the IRS. So there's several different departments involved in the processing of those, and many people do not realize that. Now, for those of you in this situation, and actually you may have options to speed the processing along instead of just waiting, you will need to contact the IRS, and if the wait is due to unprocessed wage information, ask them if you can submit a copy of the W-2 and year-end pay stubs to them. This recommendation comes from the fact the IRS in a number of cases has asked taxpayers to do just that, which helps processing along in the issuing of those refunds. Again, another situation where taxpayers will need to be proactive. Being on ID verification, even in the month of August, there's still tax returns and refunds on hold as a result of this, and the likely cause is the impacted taxpayer never received the appropriate notice in the mail and did not reach out to the IRS for additional information. This has led to significant delays in refunds both this year and last year. However, in a majority of cases, this can be completed online, especially if you receive letters 5071C, 6331C, but if you receive letters 4883C or 6330C, ID verification cannot be completed online, but rather in person. After you complete ID verification, make sure you complete the steps in verifying your tax return. Both steps have to be completed for that refund to be processed and released. Make sure to have a copy of your tax returns and the letter you received in the mail ready to go. Now, if you do not see any questions about verifying your tax return after you completed ID verification, simply log out of your IRS account and log back in to check. Finally, another reason for delays has to do with those who filed a paper tax return, who can expect some of the longest delays, since an IRS employee must manually enter your tax return into the computer system line by line, and in doing so, the IRS has an error rate of 22%, so keep that in mind. Until processing begins, there will be no updates on your tax transcripts or where's my refund status results. The IRS will not even indicate it has actually received your return in the mail, so sending it certified mail is a good way to go in the future if you continue to plan to mail in your paper tax return. Let us know in the comment section below about your ongoing tax refund issue. In the meantime, we'll keep monitoring the situation for further developments, so make sure to click on the thumbs up and subscribe button below for future updates on this channel, and thanks for watching.